Hello and welcome everyone to episode 166 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derrick, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, freelance letterer extraordinaire, and I'm here because... No, I feel like this is the one we've been waiting for.
We've talked a long time about, man, I wonder what Law's backstory is like. Man, I wonder, like, who's this Korra? What's Doflamingo's backstory like? And as we kind of predicted, we are getting kind of both. It's with a focus on Law, getting a sense of Doflamingo's backstory as well. Which is the rare for villains in One Piece.
Yeah, I feel like I alluded to last week out because last week, or maybe even the week before, it was something like Doflamingo kind of laid it out. He was just like about how much he hated his dad or whatever. And I was like, I think that's kind of it. And there's like a little more this week, but it's like, oh, it's like really the little bit more that we get is like really horrifying.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. From what I remember, I think Doflamingo basically laid it out. This is fine. We don't, there's not much left here. And I'm like, oh, I was
I feel incorrect. Like Oda has set out a challenge for himself. It's like, I need to make each new flashback more horrifying than the last, more traumatizing for the person getting the flashback, because, you know, the existential dread and the loneliness of Brook was certainly rough, and Robin obviously had really rough and all, and
that's the big one.
All that, but you look at Laws, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I
feel this one's dense, boys. I don't know what else to say. Like this one, there's Oda is saying so much.
Yeah, there's some commentary here.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to digging into this one. This is going to be fun.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Despite the horrible content, it's actually not that that's bad, but it's just horrifying. But yeah, let's go ahead and just get right to it with chapter 761, the Op Fruit, and it's with this set of cover stories that I think we're getting a better idea of what we can expect from Jinbei's journey. He's got a mystery. He's solving a mystery. That's all this is. He's on the, because for some reason the other article he was meant to be looking at, there's a mob of sea beasts has appeared above, which I think is the same mob that Cody's gang used, or at least it looks similar.
Is it?
Actually, no. One of them had a giraffe. Okay. That's not more of a typical seahorse. So,
but
maybe
not
the exact same. But it's the same similar idea.
It didn't even cross my mind.
So yeah, we'll see how that evolves right now. I will say I like Jinbei's reactions and stuff are fine, but it hasn't hooked me yet. Like it's
not really going anywhere. It's fine.
A mostly wordless mystery is kind of tough to convey, because I don't know if I fully understand all the implications, but we'll see how it all goes. But the darkness of everything, we don't even have to wait for the flashback to get to that point, because we've been talking about how Dressrosa is being destroyed because of all the fighting and whatnot, but you kind of forget about the other implications, because the other toys were wild animals that are trying to escape the island because they want nothing to do with Doflamingo. They're knocking themselves out trying to escape. There's pirates that were there who have decided this is a good opportunity to start looting and run off with a bunch of treasure. And, they're
looting is crazy when you can't leave.
Right. And then there's, the people that are being controlled by Doflamingo attacking their families and whatnot. So
all this happening. Yeah. And all while this is happening, I love this, because some guy comes up to Vice Admiral Maynard, and he's just like, the duel between Sabo and Isho ended in a draw. And he's just like, he's an admiral, though. Yeah,
it's like, no, that
we got.
There's something fishy
here. Power
here.
Scaler over here.
It's like, all right, which it does get the intended effect. Rather than focus on capturing pirates, it's like, we're capturing the Straw Hats. Suppress the rioting, suppress the chaos. Like, let's get things under control, which definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, you got like, people attacking each other, kids crying. Like, it is kind of easy to forget with like all of sort of the quote unquote like fun swashbuckling trying to get to Doflamingo. It's like for the average person, like, things are bad.
This sucks. This is rough on them. But boy, this country's gonna have some trauma after all of this. This needs to be one hell of a party. It's the only way I can put this. But oh god. But we go to the palace where Luffy was bound by the string from Doflamingo as he's getting attacked by the controlled Bellamy and Doflamingo himself. And Luffy's able to block it with his octopus stance with his feet and then roll back and get away. And Doflamingo's still faster, just stomps him into the ground.
Yeah. It took me a second to realize what was sort of the point of this, because basically, like, Luffy basically gets kicked like a whole level under, and I think it's because like Luffy never hears the backstory for anything. So this is sort of Oda's way to be like, all right, Luffy, we're gonna need you to exit the scene for a little bit.
I mean, I don't even know if any like Law or Doflamingo are telling their backstories. I think they're just sort of reminiscing at that moment as we get to it, because why would they? They were both there. They don't need to explain it.
Yeah, that's true.
But we start getting some monologuing by Doflamingo. It's like, can you even imagine what humans would do to a fallen celestial dragon? All humans are vicious by nature. And I see what he's talking about, but it's also like that they kind of bring it on themselves. But we can kind of get into the meat of that as we go forward. But it's like, because I like I'm sorry, I don't have any sympathy when I see it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I have a little bit of sympathy, and it's only through some stuff I was thinking about today.
Okay.
But yeah, we can unpack that when we unpack it, though. But you certainly understand what. Well, God, and that's sort of what's so fascinating about why Doflamingo specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That I think Oda is like trying to establish. But first off, this whole sort of back and forth between Doflamingo and Law, where Law's kind of like, there's still something that doesn't add up here. Like, you're a former celestial dragon who fell from grace of Mary Joa, so how do you still wield their power? Just this morning, you mobilized CP0 into action. And then this is where I was like, oh. Because Doflamingo's got secrets. He says that he knows about a crucial treasure that exists within sacred Mary Joa, and the very fact of its existence would shake the world to its foundations. And so, I think the best part about this, we don't know what this is. Just straight up, this has not been explained yet.
Honestly, this is something that makes sense to me that has not been explained yet, especially because we're past Mary Joa at this point. The Straw Hats are constantly moving forward. What reason do they have to go to Mary Joa? So whatever this treasure is has to be brought forward to the point, or something in connection to it has to be revealed. And certainly. I have no idea what it could be. No. It could be the third of the I forget the Pluton.
Oh, the ancient weapons.
Ancient
weapons.
It could be the third of the ancient weapons. It could be something related to the lost century. It could be some crazy devil fruit. It could be some.
It could be literally anything. Well, so the best part about this too is that there's like I don't even want to put a number on it, but I almost think I know what he's talking about, but we don't know why.
Okay.
I actually think we have seen it on screen, but I don't know why or what significance it would have. That is sort of like and it isn't even necessarily that like, oh, this is exactly what it is. It's kind of like you sort of put two and two together. You're like, was Doflamingo referring to this? But then why? So it's just, here we are introducing a new mystery that has currently no real good answer to it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's, I don't even know where to put it. Yeah. I could not even hope to figure that out. I put out my best
Yeah.
guesses, but I got nothing.
Yeah, yeah. When you see it on screen, which I remember, I'm pretty sure I know exactly when that is. You're going to be like,
Yeah, what's the big deal? Exactly.
sorry for the audio listeners. I just shrugged.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, it could be innocuous because, we imagine these, sacred weapons, and the second of the sacred weapons that we were introduced to was Shirahoshi.
That's also true. It could be one of those like, oh my god. If the thing I'm thinking of that might be this treasure, if that is actually like one of the ancient weapons for some reason, I'm gonna lose my mind.
It would be,
and that feels like there is a
else.
non-zero chance, knowing Oda, that it
Yeah.
is just one of those like, yep, all right, here you go. But I do like, Doflamingo kind of continues where he was just like, to them I was the worst kind of fugitive, one with an ace up his sleeve, and it is kind of like, it kind of explains. It's like what he was saying when he came to Riku, where he was like, they don't know what to do with me, right? Like he's a pirate, but he's got noble blood. We kicked him out, but like he has leverage, so we can't really touch him.
And they also realized like, oh God, he's too strong for us to actually kill, and he's not afraid of them. So what do I do with this? That's the big question here. But we also get other clues. It's like, if only I had the power of the op fruit in my grasp on that specific day years ago, I would have been able to make use of Mary Jojo's treasure to seize true world power. Which, as we learn later, the op fruit really is dependent on your medical knowledge.
Yes, which is sort of cool in a way. Like I don't know if I want to call it like a balancing element. But I do think it is cool because it kind of reframes Law as like, it's not just he's good because his devil fruit is busted, but he is so knowledgeable that he's able to do all this crazy stuff with it.
Mm-hmm. He knows how to. Like Chopper with the op fruit would be kind of amazing.
Yes.
Not that he can use both because he kind of needs the human fruit to do anything else. But
yes, yeah. Hey. Maybe he's like Blackbeard. He can have two. I don't know.
Well, maybe they doubt it. But
yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, he just keeps going on. Was like, that is how valuable and useful those powers are, not only for the personality switching surgery, but one even greater ability. And if you know what that is, it's like, it has the ability to fulfill mankind's longest and oldest dream, making many people call it the ultimate devil fruit for this reason. And the Law's like, yeah, I know it. It's the ability to give eternal life, the immortality operation. But in order to perform it, the surgeon themselves loses their own life, which not many people are going to use.
Yeah. Although I feel like when you spell it out like that, I feel like Law's going to sacrifice himself. He's going to give somebody immortality by the end of the series.
Who would you give that to though?
I don't know. Like I don't think it would be Luffy for one. And I don't know what, like, if
for what reason would even do it. Yeah,
exactly. So, and there are certainly theories about this that we'll get to in due time, but I do think, I don't know, it's one of those things where, like, why establish this if it's not going to get used at some point?
Yeah, I could see it maybe as the potential of just how busted this is and how you can imagine Doflamingo would use it. That's sort of my initial thought. But you're right that it's like, this is, this is a perfect example of like, oop, here's this thing. We might use it in the future or not. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. But that's when Doflamingo kind of goes on the attack and being like, I had no intention of letting you eat the fruit, and you repaid my patronage with betrayal. Diamante's sword, Laoji's martial arts, Gladius's artillery. We taught you everything you know about battle. And that's when Law shoots back. It's like, yeah, and the only reason I'm alive right now is because of Korra. So I'm grateful, actually, because you gave me the power to take you down. And that, you can see that strikes Doflamingo in that way. Like,
he's not happy about that.
Dang it. I hate that when this happens. And that's when we go into the flashback and see more of this. And Remember last time we saw Law, he was lined up with explosives wanting to join the pirate crew for Doflamingo.
Yep.
So then we get him basically getting trained or taken care of by Diamante and Treble. And their outfits are different, but they're pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. Yeah, this is 16 years ago in the North Blue, so I feel like we're seeing a lot of characters who are kind of different, kind of the same, but of course, kind of the younger set of the Doflamingo family will all be kids basically at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's when we're getting more info about Law, because he said before that he was going to die at a certain time. And he's like, he knows exactly when it's going to be 3 years and 2 months. And they're like, "Well, did the doctor tell you that?" He's like, no, my family ran a clinic and I've read my charts. So I'm going to spend the next 3 years to kill as many people as I can and destroy everything, because screw the world.
It's interesting too. Oh man, seeing Law at this point in his life, and you can already kind of see like the parts of the personality. Like, there's parts of this that are very similar to how he acts now, and parts of it that are very different. So kind of seeing a young Law in this context, I think, is just really fascinating.
Yeah, it's how he gets to the point where he's at. He's never quite lost that edge, but he's definitely a much darker position at this point.
Yeah.
But the other thing they put forth is that like we've taken in kids, but they all run away crying within 2 days because it was just too harsh for them. However, that's when we get introduced to the young Buffalo and Baby 5.
Yeah. Well,
they're adorable.
The funny thing, they are adorable. And of course the little pranksters too.
Yeah, because here comes the Corazon that we've been hearing about all this time. And he comes through the door and immediately trips and fell.
Yep, and they laugh at him, Baby 5 and Buffalo, and he just smacks them both, which is just like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's like, how dare you laugh?
Yep.
Oh God, but that's like Baby 5 gets up, is like, "Hey, have some tea, and be careful, it's hot." And he just sips it right away, and of course it just burns his mouth, and he's just,
yep.
Oh, we got this kind of goofball.
Yeah, it's very funny that this is sort of very obvious. You can see by the by the coat. This is Doflamingo's brother.
Yes.
Yeah,
very much matches that style.
Yep.
But he's back after finishing up some job. He's chatting with the other two, and they officially introduce Corazon, because he is a complete klutz. That's his thing. He's really good at his job, and he's, as you said, Doflamingo's younger brother, but he suffered some kind of shock, so he can't talk anymore. So that's his whole deal. Also, he hates kids, and at that point he just tosses Law out of the building straight down into the garbage, and he's just like, get out of here, kid.
Yep.
And that's when Law's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill him."
Yep. I love it is at this point kind of getting the visuals of like the garbage dump. This reminds me so much of Gray Terminal.
Yeah. It's interesting that Gray Terminal isn't a one-off. It seems to be a kind of common thing among the different blues. So
it turns out this world sucks.
Who would have guessed? I do kind of enjoy Corazon's whole thing about being so klutzy that he like tries to light a cigarette and he just sets himself on fire.
It's on fire. Yeah. No. Corazon's great. His introduction is, beating kids notwithstanding, extremely memorable. And I feel like Oda's always good about having really memorable character introductions.
I also I love how we get an explanation for why he beats up the kids.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and move on to chapter 762, The White Town. And it's time to investigate for Jinbei. He's made his way to that port town featured on the news. So what's going on here?
What is going on? The mystery continues.
Yep. but no answers because, well, he just arrived. So there's not much to say there. Mm-hmm. So this might be my favorite panel for this whole set, just because getting to see the younger versions of Doflamingo's crew is amazing.
It is.
And I'm going to save my favorite for last, so we're going to go left to right here, because we got Baby 5 looking really little, like, again, adorable, same with Buffalo. Then Lao G and bunny ears for some reason, and nice suit, but that's just sort of weird. Pika, thank you. I was going through running through them.
It took me a second too.
Pika's mostly the same, about what you'd expect. Yeah. Same with Diamante. Doflamingo, spike your hair at this point.
I actually really dig the spiky hair.
Yeah, it seems like he's still going for a more aristocratic look at this point.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good observation. And I love, of course, like they're all just like chowing down at a giant pizza too, which is just great.
Honestly, seeing them lift up that slice and have all the cheese drip off is like, damn, that looks yummy.
Yeah, right.
Then you got Treble that's just randomly touching Corazon, who's eating up his stuff. Next name is Gladius, who's pretty much the same, a little less leather on his part. I'm blanking on her name.
Giola?
Giola, yeah.
Yep.
Looking young and, well, let's be honest, kind of hot.
Age, maybe not so kind to her.
Yeah. And hey, we even got Baby, I didn't even notice him the first time, Baby, Dellinger, stuck on a bottle.
Oh, yes.
Next to her.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, look at the svelte, long-haired, what's his name that always does the trying to crush. I forget his name too.
Mock Vice.
Mock Vice. Seeing Mock Vice, again, looking kind of hot. What the hell?
Yeah, he's got those long flowing locks.
And then my absolute favorite, what the hell happened in 16 years that we see Senor Pink looking dapper as hell. Nice suit.
He let himself go.
Little napkin in his pocket, a cravat around his neck. Like, damn.
It makes you wonder why he dresses like a baby.
It really does. It's almost better that there's no explanation.
Yes. That he's just like, oh yeah, no, because I feel like this look for him fits his personality so much better.
Yeah.
Where you would go like, man, he really is hard boiled. And then just the irony of having a man with just like a beer belly and a diaper is just like, but he still rocks it. It's pure confidence.
It always has that confidence. He kind of reminds me of a villain from, I'm blanking on the TV show where, that Japan loves. Like, it looks like, that's the detective, Columbo.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
I can barely remember like 500 different One Piece characters. I'm sorry.
I know.
Sorry, everybody.
I never watched it as a kid. I discovered it later. But yes, he looks like a villain straight out of Columbo.
Yep. Oh, man.
Anyway. We're basically talking about is like, man, it's kind of surprising you're still here, lol, because Corazon's just putting you through the ringer, and most kids flee for their lives. But, what are you going to do? You have no powers, you're really nothing.
Yep.
And also, don't forget about the law of blood. If the officer's not given their proper respect, the family falls apart. So, if you laugh at Pika or attack any of them, then, yeah, you're going to bust it up, as we've seen.
Yeah, as we've seen. Yes, they take that very seriously. And just the more that we get into this, and just kind of the more we see just like average scenes of like Doflamingo's crew act as a family, I feel like you really do start to understand kind of like Doflamingo's values and kind of where that comes from. A
little bit. We also get them finally noticing that there's some white patches on, or at least pale patches on Law's skin, which makes Giola be like, oh God, he's got white lead disease. Be careful you don't catch it. And they run off, and that's when Law pounds the table, is like, no, don't embarrass yourself by spouting out rumors. You see how Buffalo believed you? White lead is a toxin. It doesn't spread from person to person.
Wow. Hey, Doflamingo stamping out misinfo.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is kind of a big deal. Which
it is actually. I mean, that's like the crux of this whole flashback. It is just the it's just like medical science and what do you believe, and just like how quickly kind of like lies and misinformation can spread, which I can't relate to at all.
No.
Especially when it comes to the widespread diseases.
Yeah, I have no idea where they might get that from, but you can see how Law would kind of like be taken with Doflamingo when he like completely dismisses it, and we, as we see later on, how that misinformation just makes people act ridiculous despite the lack of danger. But God, the way he got away from this place, Fleavance, in order to escape. He hid in a mound of bodies and snuck over the border.
Yeah, and I love that even oh god, see
Gladius.
Yeah, Gladius is kind of like he's like throwing up. He's like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, and then I feel like this interaction says everything. Where Doflamingo is like, and what do you bear your grudge against? And Law says, I don't believe in anything anymore. That I'm not afraid to die. He says, I don't think you're such a hot shot, Corazon. I'm going to have my revenge on you. It's not explicitly said, but I think that is probably when Doflamingo sees Law and is like, you.
Yeah. This kid. And him threatening Corazon makes Baby Five is like, don't be stupid. You'll get the skewing punishment. You think you can cry and apologize just because you're a child? And Law just glares at her and she goes crying to Buffalo.
Which I love that.
I gotta say, I can't help myself. I kind of ship the two. They're cute.
They're cute. Yeah. There's a dynamic going on there for sure.
Mm-hmm. But we learn more about this white town, or more specifically, the kingdom of Fleavance. It was once a very wealthy country with pure white soil and plants, like some kind of snow kingdom in a fairy tale, and it had an unearthly beauty about it. Eventually, they discovered a type of metal in the country's bedrock called white lead. And as soon as I heard lead, I was like, oh, that sounds bad.
Yeah. Oh, and that's also where the last week when Law was like, he just had to use lead bullets.
Oh,
that was me remembering the white lead.
Oh my God. What a dick.
Mm-hmm. It was personal.
Oh, that was personal. Holy crap.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, they use that white lead to fashion everything from tableware, dyes, sweeteners, cosmetics, weapons. And the high quality actually led it drew attention and propelled Fleavance into a booming center of industry. So even the world government got into the trade, ferrying around their products, and their white lead was a bottomless well of money. The white town was a symbol of glamour to people all over the world, according to Lauji, of course, doing his stuff. And I love how they're like telling this story as they're robbing people, getting all this loot. And doing all this, and we end with it no longer exists. And there's something about this scene that just catches my attention. It's the first time we've seen it's the first time we've seen Doflamingo without his glasses or even his coat. It's hung up. The glasses are put to the side. The coat is hung up, and he's fallen asleep while reading a book about Fleavance. So he's doing his research.
Yeah, I think that like I said, I think that is Doflamingo kind of seeing what Law's all about, and he sees himself in it.
Oh yeah,
quite frankly.
I am so curious. Like by the end of this, we have to see like Doflamingo's eyes, right? Because Oda's done too much to hide them at this point, unless it's just a gimmick. But it feels like I don't know. The fact that he has a scene specifically where he takes them off, it feels like, no, there's something to that. Even as a child, we don't get to see his eyes.
You're right.
And
I feel like I have seen his eyes, and I don't remember if anything like stood out about it. So it just
The last
Maybe.
character that we had always wear glasses was the hypnotist,
Oh, you're Django.
Django. And,
Yeah.
you know, his was just weirdly shaped. That's all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't think there's a gag.
No, there's
I
definitely
could be
not a
wrong.
gag.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen Doflamingo's eyes, but now you have me questioning myself. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll look out for it.
I'm definitely keeping my eye out for it. But but we get more details after that. With a century ago, when the white lead industry first began, the world government surveyed the land thoroughly, and even then they knew its true nature. It was actually a toxic poison. The substance posed little harm if left in the ground, but once handled, it slowly ate away at the human body. However, blinded by the wealth that they were sitting on, the government and royalty basically hid it because, like, well, we're making money, which, again, can't... Man, that's... Doesn't feel relevant to the real world. That's all. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, Oda's spitting facts here about, like, not just like capitalism bad, but like the sort of exploitation of resources and people. And there's a bit, like, a little bit later on in the story that we'll get to when we get to it. But sort of, I feel like just at the core, I feel like we've never really seen a story in One Piece that is so much about like industrialization. Like this feels so like industrial revolution coded, right? Just like basically unfettered capitalism, do whatever you can to make money, and, you know, whatever happens to the people happens to the people. Like, screw it.
Put those kids in factories. They can
Yeah.
They have
I was
little
gonna say
hands that can
those.
make it work.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know, the labor practices probably not great.
No. But here's the interesting thing about the white lead is that its toxic qualities were slight to the people experiencing it at first. However, it affects the kids you have. So it accumulates within your body and then gets passed down to your kids. And so when you have a kid, that child's life would already be shortened. And when they grew up, shortened even further, and it carried over the generations until they completely died out and were unable to have kids because, well, they're dying in their teens, and in Law's case at 13, like he barely makes it to 13 and he's dead.
I feel like even at this point in the story, you can kind of understand why Law is like, I don't believe in anything, right? Like basically, like his entire adult life has been robbed from him, you know, at this point, right? Like that just any sort of system that had been meant to protect him is just or you know, like it's exploitation, you know, just like through and through. And God, it even hit me that, you know, it's like, oh, by the time the world realized the great peril posed by white lead, it was already too late. As if, like, you know, but they knew the whole time, you know. Basically, once it stopped making them money,
could have warned people, but it's like,
once they stopped being able to hide it under the rug, basically.
And it's a horrifying disease. You know, your skin and hair grow pale white, your body gets racked with pain, and no doctor could stem the tide. So, you know, that's when Baby Five's like, oh man, everyone in his country died out. That's awful. It's like, no, that's where the real tragedy began. We're not done yet.
Yeah, and I love that. The Senor Pink is he's got his swim powers at this point. So
it's so, and they still got the lady going, Senor.
Oh yeah.
Wait, no. It's Baby Five saying that, but it's written in the way. But I think it's just indicating how that she's just a young kid with a squeakier voice. But when everyone saw when basically the rest of the world saw everyone in White Town dying out from the same symptoms, they thought it was an infectious disease. So they blocked off all access to the country in every direction and isolated it. And with the world government's help, the royals fled the country, leaving their people behind, which, yep. So the citizens tried to flee for safety and medical help, but again, they thought it was a disease, so they just shot them on sight. So it's a zombie type of thing.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
But so they're basically just dealing with all of that. And Fleavance attempted to get back. You know, they had plenty of lead, including bullets. And that's when war erupted. And Man, that's some World War One ass. Like
right, you got like the gas masks and
I feel like that's the people attacking the people of Flivens because they just don't want to get
they
infected.
Yeah, they assume that they're infectious. Yep.
So, and just they did it without mercy. So they just keeping them isolated, not letting them get out, and putting down any resistance. And that's when we actually shift to Law, where he's hanging out here in this nun. It's just like the soldiers are coming. They say they'll let the children go free, and Law's like, I can't come with you because my sister is dying and I can't go right now. So they're just like, that's fine. Well, you can ride the next evacuation ship. We'll come back for you. And all the kids are like, take care of yourself, Law. And you can see the white patches on all their skin, how they're all being affected already, how their parents are dead. But my parents told me to live, so that's what I'm gonna do. And they're just like,
that line messed me up, dude.
I know. And the fact is, this nun goes, there's no need for despair. There's always a merciful hand of salvation waiting to help. And they're running off. Law's at his family's practice, which is pretty sizable.
Yeah, it seemed he was.
And the people outside are just like, help us, doctor. And it's his father, Law's dad, is just desperately saying, it's not infectious. Why doesn't the government announce that to everyone? Why are they keeping this a secret? And
at this point, they are, well, I feel like, again, not really said. They probably want to save face at this point. They don't want to have any responsibility.
They want to have no indication that they knew all along.
Exactly. Yeah. And that they just want to sweep it under the rug. They don't want anything to do with it. So it really is just like, again,
how does Oda find ways to make this government worse and worse and worse
and worse? And it's one thing in 2014 around when this stuff was coming out. It's another thing living in a post 2020 world about
or just in the year 2025.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the government can get worse and worse and worse.
You always think like, oh no, it can't get any worse than this. But they find a way.
Yep. But yeah, Law's trying to take care of his sister, and just like it's like, Dad's gonna fix you. She's like, why is it so noisy? It's because of a festival. So
yeah, you're trying to keep her spirits up.
Yeah, and you can see that even at this young age, Law's father was teaching him how medical, this requires the use of this blood vessel, all that stuff. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. So he was, I feel like from the, I guess just from like the sheer like affluence of this country, prior to all of this, you could imagine that, like he was probably pretty well off, that their sort of like medical mansion is massive, and there's, he seems like a properly educated young kid.
Yeah, and that's when the tragedies just start hitting. It's just, he just all of a sudden hears found and purged two infected. His mother and father shot. Going to where the nun and the kids were going to get picked up and rescued. All killed, shot.
Yep.
Just
and
all wiped out.
Only because he wanted to, stay by his sister's side is the only reason he lived.
Yeah, and he by checking on them, he goes back to the hospital, set on fire. So his sister burned to death, dead, and then everything just crumbled to dust. So him just in the middle of that, crying in just despair. Holy crap!
Definitely, I feel like one of the
bleakest things. One of the the bleakest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think there's something about it too that's so like, I don't know. It hits different. It feels. I feel like Robin's is maybe a close comparison in terms of like the way that like the systems going on at play here, like the greater sort of powers at play, just absolute failure on every level, and has caused like so much death and destruction. But even that is sort of a like you're researching a taboo, and in that way feels very much like a fantasy manga, very much like forbidden information, but like it's still in kind of a way that doesn't really apply to like the real world, maybe not in the same way, but this. Like, this is just straight up like,
Let's be
lies,
honest. This
exploitation,
is genocide.
It is. Yeah, 100%.
If you view it from the outside, it's just like, no, we need to kill them all. It's the only way to be safe.
Yeah. No. This is genocide.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's like, what can I say?
Yeah.
It is like, apply your own real world of applications here. Like it is relevant. You can see it from the other side. You can see it from in there. And it's like, why isn't anybody telling our story? Why isn't anybody getting this out? And it's just an inconvenient truth.
Very much so. Yeah, I definitely, I remembered kind of the broad strokes, Law and his family and all of that, but sort of the way in which, it has been established that there was this time of prosperity that just, had this kind of other side to it. And, you get the world government involved in the way that they're making a quick buck off of it and then just, get out while the getting's good, basically. Mm-hmm. And it's just another example of, another country's resources being exploited. So, not at all like our real world.
No, not a bit. Oh, but that's the end of the story. Like you can't, after something going like that, you can't blame a kid for being broken. And that we just go to Law, who spots Corazon and is like, my parents, my sister, everyone from the church died. So how come this idiot gets to live? So I'm just going to kill him because he just pisses me off. And he successfully stabs him in the back. And Buffalo sees it. He's like, oh God, he's broke the law of blood. He's going to get skewered. I got to tell the young master. So
don't be a snitch.
Brandon, I have a feeling this is going to be our longest episode.
Oh boy, we got a lot we are 2 chapters deep into this.
Yes, we are. So let's not waste any more time and get into chapter 763, Declaration of Humanity, where there's a set of ruins on top of the port, and the ruins happen to be from the Sea Kittens town. So something picked it up and just tossed it there somehow.
Yeah, and that. I think that the thing that's really fascinating to me is that you have like this building that was underwater, and that looks like a human building, but is now just above water.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what that's about?
Not a clue. But time for Doflamingo's trauma.
Yeah. Hey, how do you feel about lynching as a concept?
I mean, in general, not great.
Yeah.
But also, we've seen how the celestial dragons act. We've seen the abject cruelty they put people through for just the slightest thing. And we get more examples here where here's Corazon, Doflamingo, and their father strung up outside of windows. And the people are just like,
and also they're on fire.
Yeah, the fire underneath, just burning at them, and just like, they're former dragons. The Navy won't care if we lynch them. I can't, and we have a chance to strike back, but don't kill them. Let's break all their bones with a hammer. We'll stick them with 1,000 arrows. Let them suffer. And it's like, whew, that feels harsh. But then you're like, once
you get the dialogue from the average people here is like, holy crap. I want to read this out. Or they said, my sons were only 5 and 2, and for the so-called crime of walking across their path, the celestial dragon shot them 16 times with a pistol. And you have another person saying, my daughter was taken for a slave. She came home in a miserable state. She wouldn't speak a word of what happened and killed herself 3 days later. I was once a slave myself. They took my eyes for sport. My wife was burned alive. But none of that matters to you, does it? People just going on and on and on. And, just like...
Yeah. I think, okay. The angry mob might have a point.
Yep.
It's hard to really blame them, but it's also the reason they got to this point, I think, is fascinating. And it's something we'll have to discuss later because it's not brought up here, but it is fascinating how they got to this point.
Very much so.
For the Doflamingo family. But it's just the question of, have you ever been hungry in your lives? We starve to death, but you might as well be gods, isn't that right? You're different from us humans. This isn't nearly enough to kill you. And it's like, this is what you get for treating humanity like writhing maggots. This is our pain and sadness and suffering. And
oh boy, man, I think these 2 chapters back to back, this is definitely the darkest One Piece has ever gotten.
Because this, I guess I think we do see Doflamingo's eyes. Now that I think about it, because we get to see the fire from, I guess, him as a kid, and then we just see the close up, and they look normal.
They look normal. Yeah, they look normal. That's the thing. Is I'm pretty sure I've seen Doflamingo's face, and I don't think it's really anything special. I think he just likes the sunglasses.
He likes the sunglasses, or it's some sort of barrier between himself and the world, which
that I could totally
is a celestial dragon type thing.
Yeah, very much so. Earlier today, I was thinking about the bird cage, right? As one does. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that gets me feeling at least a little bit bad about this is sort of the idea that the celestial dragons are kind of trapped in a world of their own creation, right? Mm-hmm. And not even, I wouldn't even say, I guess it depends on how much is really their fault. Because I feel while it hasn't really been explicitly said in the manga, even though the celestial dragons might, they are the descendants of the 20, technically 19 kingdoms that, formed the world government. But they're just regular people, right? Ultimately, they're no different than any other average person. But it is through this belief system and through I guess the idea that this sort of almost the system of haves and have-nots, I guess, right? They are trapped in a kind of the birdcage of their own creation, basically. That they we sort of see that we just from Doflamingo's own description of our father wanted to live among the people, and how stupid of an idea that was. And it's kind of, of course, it's only natural that when you put people under the boot long enough, for 800 years, right? That's, 800 years of, just built up anger. Mm-hmm. So I do kind of, I get that there is at least, I don't I want to say the word innocent, but in the way that there's they are benefiting from the system due to no fault of their own. And even if they wanted to get away from that, this is what would happen. And I do think there's an inherent tragedy to that.
That being said, it didn't have to go this way for them.
That's true.
There is a specific reason. It's not outright said, but I'm pretty sure it's the reason why that they got targeted like this, because outright really shouldn't have happened. Because
yeah.
So
I know what you're talking about.
I think we see it in this chapter, but we get introduced to Doflamingo's parents. Or at least his dad gets a name at least, and it is notable. Of course, the other dragons are just why are you doing this? This is idiotic.
Yes.
It's
you've always been a heretic.
Yeah. And his father's just we are humans. We always have been. And notably, they look normal. They're not disgusting looking people.
Yeah, that's true.
Go figure. And they do consider themselves they call themselves dragon kind. Holy crap.
Yeah. Right. Again, not explicitly said they're normal people, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any sort of actual dragon kind going on here.
Mm-hmm. Not in the slightest, but they are dropped off at a pretty extravagant mansion. It's a kingdom unaffiliated with the world government, far to the north. You have a fortune there, so you should be comfortable. And they lose their ID chips to mark them as celestial dragons, and now they can the plan is they can just live here with a quiet life. And that's when we see young Doflamingo asking about, where are the slaves? Let's go buy some, as he bounces on the treasure. And we learned Corazon's actual name, Rocinante, I believe.
Yes, yeah. Which is, I looked this up. It is in the actual Don Quixote book. I think it is the horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And here is, to me, This is why it never worked out.
Yeah.
This is why they couldn't live a peaceful life. They could have. They absolutely could have. But you have Doflamingo here walking through town. It's like, why don't you prostrate yourself before me? What gave you the right to cross my path? Bring me a pistol. Who do you think I am? And it's like, what's with the kid?
Yes. Right.
Look into that a little bit. And yeah, what do you know? The people find out that there's celestial dragons that are not, celestial dragons anymore. It's like, oh, we got to take out some aggression.
Yes. Yeah.
If it wasn't for Doflamingo, they could have lived fine. But he wanted his slaves. He wanted his privileges.
Yeah. And it sort of, basically, like, they have to live kind of like, for the next indiscriminate amount of time on the run. It is almost, it feels like Doflamingo's absolute refusal to live this kind of lifestyle. I cannot live in this filthy hotel. There are bugs inside the house, and that it is just like, I feel like, Doflamingo is kind of the problem child in this situation. You kind of see like, Homing, right? Yeah,
yes,
Homing he's on the phone and he's like, please, I was naive, at least let my wife and sons return. They're gonna kill us. And so you could make the argument that, like, obviously, as a normal person, like, you would have seen this coming, right? Like, this whole experiment is kind of the height of, hubris and naivete. Even if, with good intentions.
Mm-hmm. It's an ironically noble thing that Homing here is trying to do. His son just couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a version of this where they could have. I guess it's the idea that, like, even if Doflamingo didn't say anything, I guess the idea that Homing just thought everything would have been fine either way, even if they like.
Well, that's the thing.
Like,
I think they could have. He's not. He's dressing as a normal man. He's not in this. Like, he's just another wealthy guy. At that point, we've seen wealthy
I guess
people
it is
before.
the difference in wealth. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, it's not like it's extravagant, but it's not. Doesn't seem like too extravagant. And they don't have slaves or anything like that. So it's. I think it really does come down to the fact that Doflamingo couldn't stand not having slaves and his special privileges as a celestial dragon. So it's ironic that he's the one that survived. Well, him and his brother survived, but he's the one that lasted the longest, and he's the one that became a pirate in this way. It's fascinating now because you'd think he'd be like not be able to adapt the most and end up dead first, really.
Yeah, it's definitely the one most hardened by it.
Because they're eating literally out of the garbage and just trying to hang on there, and their mother passes away because she just gets sick, and Homing is just desperate to, kill me if you must, but not my children, and that's when that leads into them getting hung up and all that. We don't know how he ended up surviving. That's the big question. How the two of them survived.
Very much so.
But we go from that further flashback to our less old flashback where they caught Law and he decided to escape all of a sudden all the way to the port. It's like, Buffalo's like, he's going to get tortured now for stabbing Cora, and Baby Five's like, oh, poor Law. And Corazon's still fine. He's not dead. So it's like, oh, great. He's going to tell and I'm going to get tortured and I'm dying for nothing.
Yeah.
But Doflamingo doesn't bring it up. It's like, I want to make you an official member of the Don Quixote family. And, you've got potential. It's like, wait, does he not know? Did he not say anything? Why didn't he say anything?
Yeah. And just, again, we were talking about this earlier. Doflamingo's like, look at that dirty glare in your eyes. That only comes from the worst of circumstances. And at this point, seeing where Doflamingo comes from, he sees Law, and I'm sure it's just kind of like, he just
kindred
like
spirit.
Real. Yeah, exactly. And of course, all this time, Law's just kind of like, does he not know?
And he gives him a little bit of hope. He's like, well, why are you trying to make me this when I'm going to be dead in 3 years? It's like, oh, that depends on your fortunes. We're experts in the black market. One of the things we deal with is devil fruits, and some have powers that surpass human understanding. So one of them might actually be able to fix your condition. So if luck's on your side, maybe you'll get one. So until then, I'm going to train you to be my right-hand man 10 years from now.
Yep.
So
you can already see, I guess, like, kind of what Doflamingo's intentions are, and guess why he, feels so burned by being betrayed by law.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, because you see it, right? Like, that Doflamingo really wanted him to be his right-hand man, and now he has to kill him. Seemingly.
Yep. Apparently, yeah. But it's like, he even comes across Corazon. It's like, how'd you get the cut? He's like, he just holds up enemy. And looking at Corazon's body, it's hard to tell whether this is from his life as a pirate, or being beaten by the people when they found out he was a celestial dragon.
Oh, where he's got all the scars.
Yeah, the scars and whatnot.
Yeah. Or it might just be because he's clumsy.
Or it could be because of his clumsiness. That is entirely possible.
Or a little bit of, columns A, B, and C.
Oh gosh, but we just get a time here where they're just expanding their operation, attacking Marines, getting a bunch of money, just really building themselves up. And I love how in every single scene, Corazon's just falling over.
Yes, falling over or on fire.
It's really good. And yep,
I would read a whole manga about this, frankly.
It'd be rather interesting. And honestly, I also like how young of age Baby 5 got her powers, because we see her using her leg.
Oh yeah, you're right.
As a gun.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of this makes sense, knowing that they deal in, like, black market devil fruits.
Yeah. I think so. It's interesting to see the training of Law, all the books he has them read. Like, this is a proper education, like, that he's getting.
Yep.
Like, he really did invest a ton of time into Law.
Yeah, and that he was right. Yeah, and that's why it feels so personal. That's you can. I feel like we've seen that so much in the current day story.
Yeah.
But we're seeing for ourselves, like, no, this relationship, like, actually did, and with how much emphasis that Doflamingo places on family to begin with, that it would certainly make sense that, like, no, I didn't want it to come to this.
Mm-hmm. But after that, all that training and whatnot, we got this little conversation between Law, Baby 5, and Buffalo. They're like, "Oh, we told you our real names." Well, I wasn't asking. Well, why would I want to have fun? And it's like, you're no fun. It's like, well, why would I going to have fun? I'm just going to die. And that's when Baby 5 notes that his white patches really are spreading. And it's like, I think I have about one more year, because it's happening quicker than I expected. And Buffalo tries to use some leverage. It's like, tell us your real name. I'm going to tell Doflamingo that you stabbed Cora 2 years ago. And that's when we get our next bombshell. His full name is Trafalgar D. Waterlaw.
Yes, it is. But I'm not actually supposed to tell anybody that name, which is interesting.
Yeah. He's a D.
Yup. I don't actually know what the water is about. I'm kind of...
I guess his middle name, a proper middle name?
I wonder if that has any significance or any meaning. Because we've never seen a character that's like D and an extra thing in their last name.
No. And it's interesting that he hit it. But Luffy doesn't, Garp doesn't, Ace didn't.
Gold Roger, I think, is the only example, and that wasn't
even his intention. That
wasn't even him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we're about to learn, there might be a reason why.
Yeah. It's interesting that that apparently the water is his secret name, and so so we have the D is an alias and water is his secret name. For generations, my family hasn't, like, I'm bored. They don't let him continue.
Yeah.
But it's at that point that he immediately gets picked up by Corazon, and taken away, and he just tosses him, and he just all of a sudden says, "Was that true?" It's like, wait, you can talk? You're a D alias. If that's true, you need to get away from Doflamingo immediately. You cannot be around him. And Corazon can talk. And we get our first real look at his design. And honestly, I dig it.
Yeah, he's got definitely kind of a clown look to him, but he looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks awesome.
Well, yeah, it's funny that, we make so many comparisons to, Doflamingo as the Joker from Batman. But Rocinante actually looks more like him.
Yeah, very much
Yeah.
so. But it has a smile on that face, so there you go. Oh my gosh. All right, let's get to chapter 764, White Monster, where we have a color spread where we're going after trout with some bears.
Yeah. Monster Point Chopper is kind of OP for this.
Yeah, a little bit. I love how Frankie's just has his bear hairstyle. He's just chilling with the other bear. Robin's shirt says "Beware of the bear."
This is cute. This is great.
It's very cute. And the chapter itself, and the first thing we ask is, okay, since when you were able to talk? Since always. Wait, you've been fooling Doflamingo all along? I was like, well, I never indicated to anyone that I couldn't talk. They just interpreted it their own way. Well, that's just the same as lying. And that's when he's like, oh, keep it down. And uses silence. And that's like, wait, I can't hear the town at all. They're talking, but I don't hear anything. And it's like, well, I put up a wall because you were making so much noise. And at first I thought he had the force field fruit.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's actually a soundproof wall. He's a silent man with the powers of the calm fruit. Which nobody knew that he had a devil fruit. So that's...
Yeah.
Huh.
I love this interaction here. He's just is like, you're just full of lies. It's like, wait, don't tell me the way those accidents you're always having. And Corazon's like, you bet, kid, all an act. And he's on fire.
He's like, I've been clumsy my whole life. It'll never get better. So here comes the big question. Why have you been hiding this from your partners? And he's like, no, they're not my partners. My only purpose here is to stop my brother's rampage. I still don't understand how our loving parents could have produced such a monster. And that's, again, goes back to the fact that kind of Doflamingo's fault that they ended up in this way. Mm-hmm. And that's, man, he's inhuman. And we get that flashback where it's like, my sons are innocent of any sin. Train your arrows on me, not them. Please do not harm my boys. And, Corazon, how do you pronounce his name? Rocinante?
Rocinante, I think.
Rocinante. Who's screaming out, it hurts. I just want to die. But instead of that, Doflamingo is saying, you're going to pay for this. You're not going to kill me. I'll survive the worst you can throw me. I will hunt you down and kill every last one of you. Which, holy crap.
The poor, townspeople are just kind of like, oh, God.
Which, we do know, he does have the Haki of the Supreme King, correct?
Yes.
So they might be feeling that effect at that point.
Yeah.
That might be how he survives.
Yeah. And just the way that Rocinante kind of just got to like, no, my brother is inherently evil. Right.
I like how he goes like, but all this discussion, like, how did Doflamingo get to this point? What is his story that this happened? He has all these backgrounds, and then we get to his brother. It's like, no, he's just pure evil. Like, there's no special thing. He's just a jerk.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like that does kind of, I feel like you can kind of extrapolate from that. I feel like that's sort of further, I guess what I'm trying to get is like that, Saint Homing, right? Like he probably was that naive that he's just like, oh, that's just my boy, right? Like he's probably the kind of parent who didn't really think too much of it.
Yeah.
And didn't really try to kind of, nurture over nature, that sort of thing.
I mean, you can see his father falling in the same trap as the other celestial dragons, where it's like, no, my kids are perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't have thought otherwise. And I'm sure certainly was not prepared for this sort of extreme scenario of being, burned at the stake.
Yeah. Apparently, the only ones who know that the true depths of his brutality are the 4 officers, including him, and Virgo, the previous Corazon. Which,
hey, there we go.
There's our power set, which makes Lol taking out Virgo even more impressive.
Heck yeah.
I was
personal.
curious for a long time at just how powerful Virgo was
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme, but there it is. Yeah, basically Corazon's like, yeah, you can't turn into a monster like Doflamingo. You got to go. And it's like, well, I'm not going to. That's what I want to be. I want to be a monster. It's like, no, you have the secret name of D. That means you're one of the fateful few, the people of the D.
Are you ready for... We're gonna get some D lore for the first time in over 700 chapters. This is literally the first thing we have, like, of any significance.
Pretty much. All we've heard up to this point is the will of D.
Yep.
Now we get an idea of why they might be special, but we've found out back in my hometown, children were scolded into behaving by this threat, which we know his hometown is Mary Joa, so there you go.
Yep.
If you don't behave, you'll be gobbled up by a D. Once in a while, when another person with the name of D becomes known, the elderly all raise an eyebrow and murmur, the D will always cause another storm.
There's that line again.
And that's the thing that Law said later on. He's like, well, am I supposed to be a monster? It's like, well, no one actually knows the truth. The name lives on in the dark shadows of history around the world. In one area, the people of the D are known as the enemies of the gods. And if you view the celestial dragons as the gods in this case, then perhaps your people's goal is the very destruction of this world, but with an entirely different meaning than the way Dofi intends it. The people of D no doubt have a philosophy that pits them against the gods, which, looking at Luffy, yeah.
Doesn't that explain a lot about Luffy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, ties into fate, but again, how do you earn the moniker of D?
Yeah. How does it pass? We still...
I don't know.
Because how...
We had the friend of Robin be a D, but he was in the Marines, so...
Right. Yeah, and there are D, Garp is in the Marines.
Yeah, Garp in the Marines, of course, yeah. So...
I was trying to think if there's anyone else who had a D who was in...
I've lost track of most Ds at this point, I feel.
Yeah.
And I can't look it up because I feel like I'd have others revealed to me at this point because...
Yeah. Don't look that up. Do not look that up.
No, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, but I feel like most of them are pirates, and then of course you have Dragon, who's a revolutionary, which also feels very much like an enemy of the gods.
I think the giant was Saul.
Yeah, Saul.
Yeah, that's
Saul. Right. Saul had a D. And so it raises this interesting question where now that Law kind of knows the significance of the D, or at least in sort of the that they are sort of kind of the natural enemies of the celestial dragons. Do you think is that why he teamed up with Luffy? If he understood that if I team up with Luffy, he's gonna
he's the natural enemy of Doflamingo.
Doflamingo, so. Exactly right, and really the two of them together are.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, him rescuing Luffy and doing all this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten about that, but when that happened in Marineford, that's what I was thinking of. I was Law probably did that because he's a D.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Yeah.
But Law's just denying is yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I just came to join a family so I can kill everyone and everything. I'm not working for you. I'm working for Doflamingo. So why would I leave him if I'm just going to die in a year anyway? And Corazon just says you can search for a cure. It's there is none. So I'm going to go telling you to Doflamingo about your powers and your fake silence, and he'll do worse than just kick you out, I bet. And Corazon tries to kick him, take him out, but Law dodges, tosses him into the trash, and it's hey, I'm a lot stronger, so bye. And I love this thing. It's they saw him toss Corazon into the trash. It's Buffalo and Baby Five. It's hey, I'm gonna tell again. It's no, I'll buy you ice cream if you shut up about it. Oh, I want the deluxe. It's it's 500 berries. Hey, Baby Five, let me 500 berries. Okay. He needs me. Oh no, it started at a young age.
Oh, here it goes. Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
And then we kind of have this interesting kind of well, one, Corazon goes back to, to Doflamingo, and well, I love that they're being hunted by Suru from
the old lady
from the Navy. Yeah, the old lady from the Navy
that hangs people out to dry, which is pretty great.
Yeah. And then Corazon's like, wait, he hasn't told anybody yet. So now, Law's basically like, okay, we're even, basically.
Yeah. Also, I was so busy reading the dialogue because I was just so enraptured that I missed Doflamingo's ship, and I love that ship.
Oh, yeah.
The so flamingo good, with his glasses, that's too perfect. Yep. It's on the nose, but I would expect no less.
Yes.
But as they're on the ship, they don't stay around for long because we can see the Buffalo has that deluxe ice cream still. They're already gone. Corazon is left a note in the hammock where he went to go cure Law's disease, and they answer. He's like, it's child abduction. It's the transponder still starts ringing. It's like, hey, is that Doflamingo? I'm being kidnapped. Help me, rescue me. What are you gonna do to me? And that's when Corazon's like, no, we're going to cure your disease. We're going to go to every hospital we can. And it's like, no, I can't be cured. And that's when we find out who's on the other end of this transponder snail. Crackers.
Cookies.
Yeah, well, I mean...
That's the code.
Yeah, it's a code. Crackers and Corazon's cookies. And he's like, hey, I need to leave my duty for a little while. And running into trouble? No, just a personal matter. Well, how are the little ones? Is your harassment still failing to push them out? Not these three. And that's our clue to why he hated kids. He's trying, as we learn here, he's actively working against Doflamingo. So all the kids trying to join the crew, he was rough and abused them to make them quit.
Wow. Hey, it turns out this Corazon fella is kind of on the up and up.
Yeah. And working with Sengoku.
Yes, who is a Navy admiral at this point.
It's like, all right, do as you see fit. I'll wait for the report. So there they go. And this also was great. I've got the officer who asked for reassignment. Send him in. And that's when we see the confirmation in there. Yep. Rocinante is part of the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a commander there. But also, here's this other fellow. This guy's been on the fast track upward in the year since his enlistment, and you wish to be transferred to G5. First, I'd like to know more about that fried egg on your ship, cheek. Which, yeah, that is his gimmick.
There you go.
But here's young Vergo working his way up.
Yeah, it's interesting that I think it was earlier this chapter, or it might have been last chapter, where it was last chapter where Corazon was like, nobody knows what Virgo's up to.
It's interesting he used the same name too. I guess it's been that far. Association.
Yeah,
he never was able to make a name for himself with the Don Quixote pirates.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, now to begin a heartbreaking sequence where Rocinante is just taking Law from doctor to doctor, and all of them are just like, no, give me disinfectant, get rid of him, kill this kid, get rid of him. And all, like, Corazon just beats up all of them. It's like, all right, well, let's go to the next one. Okay, the next one. Yep. Okay, the next one. All of the doctors, again, with ugly faces, say, let's like, no, I don't want to touch him. We can't do anything with this. And Rocinante just beating up all of them. And he's just eventually realizes, it's like, I'm just making this kid for 6 months relive his trauma again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it's like, was it for the sake of the D? No, I don't care about that anymore. I've been feeling sympathy for a dumb kid who's known nothing but pain. He'd hate to learn the truth, but when I heard the little brat say he was going to die, I just couldn't take it. You may have stabbed me way back then, but it didn't hurt a bit. The pain was all yours, you poor boy. So he's crying over Law.
Yeah, and then Law hears it and cries himself. And it's just, oh, man. You
get to see why Law loved him.
Right, yeah.
It's only going to end in more tragedy.
Yeah, I feel like we already know where this is going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, you even see the difference where he is, rather than Corazon, he just calls him Cora.
Yeah, and then it's just he's so pleased by that.
But our chapter ends with a call from Doflamingo. It's me. So what is that all about? But we do have an SBS after this one. We've been going. That's the funny thing. We barely had SBSs, but we're just going with these.
Yes.
But this is the big one because
yeah,
we don't get Usopp's Pirate Gallery. We got a little bit of the American version, but then they just sort of stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And we never got the Japanese version, which sucks because, well, here is, it turns out it was all the way back in volume 23 that it's not, that's the great thing. It's not a fan pointing this out. It's Oda using the opportunity of, we're starting to sort of like, hey, check out this awesome thing where this kid, sent me this fan art of Smoker, and now he has his own manga premiering in Shonen Jump. That's just fantastic. He told me himself at the New Year's party, and he should have told me earlier so I could have cheered him on. But anyway, you should probably check it out. It's Kohei Horikoshi's My Hero Academia.
Nah, it probably got canceled. It's some hack.
Nobody cares about that. That sounds like it has no chance to be popular at all.
It's crazy that at this point, One Piece has been running for so long that the kids who are inspired by it were doing like worldwide hits.
Not only worldwide hits, they finished their worldwide hits.
That's also true. Yes. God, that sort of that gives me an awareness of time that makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Yep.
But it's cool as heck. Seeing,
it's awesome. It makes you wonder what other fan will be the next one to make it and so forth.
I do think, and even funnier, I think the translator for My Hero Academia, Caleb Cook, who's a dear friend of mine, he also got into the Japanese SBSs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he does like clay crafts. So I think he did some One Piece ones that ended up being in the art gallery.
Art gallery. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
it's a shame we don't
weird
get
coincidence.
Those.
Yeah,
because you really do see some. We only see it from the SBS headlines where we get the art. But there's still some good art in there. But man. I think we've talked about this publicly before, but if we ever, when we actually catch up and finish One Piece, because theoretically it is getting close to its ending. Of course, we have plan. We don't think we're going to end the podcast. We're just going to move on to the next manga and just do the same thing with that. Boy, every single manga after this is going to feel so damn short.
It is 100%, unless we do like Case Close or something.
Yeah, which. I don't know if we'd have a lot to talk about with Case Closed because it feels like
maybe. Yeah.
I mean, maybe like talk about the detective stories each time, but it kills me. There's so little forward momentum on the main plot of that thing.
That's true.
Anyway, let's go ahead and get to our final chapter for this set, 765, Minion, the Isle of Fate. And of course, speaking of mysteries, we have Jinbei trying to learn more from the people because suddenly the ruins destroyed our town, the creatures wrecked our ships, and the offerings disappeared. So something's causing all that connected. And I love how the kids are just randomly like nobody's afraid of Jinbei. So it's like he's just a cool dude, despite him being a fish man. Got the kids all crawling all over him.
You shouldn't be afraid of him, and he doesn't seem to mind. He's fine.
No, Jinbei's awesome. Oh gosh, but. We pick up with the chapter itself with, Corazon picking up. And I love how they actually communicate where it's, he taps on the transponder snail to sort of communicate with him so that because he can't talk.
Got to keep up the bit.
Did you find any good doctors? No, I didn't think so. All right, come back to the ship and bring Law with you. We might have found a way to cure his illness. I've got intel on the op fruit. The idiot pirate who got his hands on it doesn't know the true value, and he's going to sell it to the Navy for a huge pile of cash. The government's definitely pulling strings in the shadows. It'll be dangerous, but we're going to try to make off with it. And once we have it, I need my most trusted man to eat the fruit, given the nature of its properties. That man is you, Corazon, which,
Uh-oh.
oh. Then you can heal Law's disease. And boy, there's some complications here.
Very much so. And it's, you really wonder, I really like this next scene, because we kind of see things from Doflamingo's perspective, where, like, they're all kind of like, you remember how quickly Suru from Navy HQ was able to track us down in the past, yet the Navy hasn't shown hide nor hair for the last 6 months, the exact 6 months that Corazon hasn't been around. So, you're saying that he was leaking our info to the Navy the whole time? Like, yeah, it could be a coincidence. But that's what I would like to think. I'd hate to lay suspicion on my own brother. So it kind of feels like, I think at this, he knows.
Oh, he knows. Point. He absolutely knows. But also, just I don't know the actual color, because we don't have a color version of Corazon here. But it is funny how Doflamingo has who's the pure evil, has the white feathers, and the good guy Corazon has the black feathers for his coats. That's just kind of amusing. I hadn't
thought about that. Yeah, that is fun.
But hey, he's just elated. Rejoice! There's a chance you'll survive. Forget about the doctors. If we can get our hands on the op fruit, we can cure you. Cure you. And he's like, what's that? And he's like, oh, it has the ability to alter the human body. Its miraculous operations can even cure unidentified ailments. Sounds like magic. It's like, yeah, but it's not. You need medical knowledge to make the most of it. And that's why you're the perfect person to eat the fruit. And he's like, well, the law is basically like, the Doflamingo said you should eat it. And if you eat 2 devil fruits, you die. So he only said that because he doesn't know I already have powers. So neither you nor I will be able to return to the family after this happens. So we've got to do this.
Yes. And then there's also, of course, the other matter of the op fruit. Then that even Corazon is like, Dofi must know by now that I betrayed him. There's another meaning behind his order for me to eat the op fruit. He knows that I can't refuse him, and this is him, thinking to himself. So he wants to sacrifice me for eternal life, doesn't he?
And there's where it kind of comes in. Yep. So here's the idea. We're going to beat Doflamingo to the punch. We'll steal the op fruit before he can get his hands on it, and then you will eat the fruit, and then you can cure your own disease. So let's go. And that's when he reports to Sengoku. And I like how you never see Garp, but he's just like, Garp, get out of here.
yeah. He's just kind of like, oh, do you have crackers? Well, and then I love he's like, hey, Kuzan, you want crackers? It's kind of it's just a funny little background gag.
And he already shocks Sengoku because it's like, is it true that you're making a deal for the op fruit? He's like, how did you know that? It's like, I just want to know what he's been doing. We're gonna find this out. Basically, here's the idea. It's in the North Blue. The deal's going down 3 weeks from now. I'm supposed to meet up with Doflamingo and the crew at Swallow Island 3 days before that, under the cover of night, meaning that the entire family will be ready for combat on that day. So that's good to know. So this is their chance to put an end to Doflamingo. So we'll lie in wait on Swallow Island, which means he's not a warlord yet at this point.
Oh, yes.
Which
I wonder how Sengoku feels about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also makes me wonder. I'm going to try to keep an eye out for Zed to see if we see.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen at this point, but it would be very interesting to see if Zed pops up somewhere.
Yeah, the timing would be very good. Those, I mean, I guess we already saw it. You can never rule it out, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, very true. So, this is the plan. So I'll be able to send you a list of all the big players and dealers that Doflamingo's been training with. We'll be able to shed a light on much of the darkness in the North Blue. So, here's the plan. Unfortunately, time is running out for Law.
Yeah, he's not looking too good.
It's not even been 3 years yet, but it's definitely advancing faster and faster, and it's getting rough. So, what should I do? I don't know. I'm just going to make you as comfortable as I can, but you need to stay alive for 3 more weeks, and he's trying to keep him alive, going through a crazy storm. Just, all of this. And Law, here's where he's definitely hiding the fact that he's a Navy man from Law, because Law's like, hey, the government knew we would die, but they made us dig up the lid so they could get rich. The government killed my family and the rest of Fleavance. So if you happen to be one of them, if you're a Navy, be honest. He's like, no, I'm not Navy. Oh, I'm glad.
Oh,
it's like,
the white lie.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, it's that. If just get this straight. If you steal the op fruit, we'll make an enemy out of everyone. Doflamingo, the Navy, the government. You'll need guts to survive. And here we go. It's
here we go. Yep.
We're right there at Minion Island, to the east of Rubeck. It's a ghost town. So just the pirates are the Diaz Barrels, which I don't think we've heard of them before. Correct?
No, I think they're familiar. Fodder.
Yeah, he's just a former naval officer, which would explain why he's making a deal with the Navy.
Yep.
But yep, we're gonna just try to get the fruit from them before Doflamingo can. So
yeah,
here we go. We go inside the mansion. We're looking at the fruit, which I do like that it's heart shaped. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And it's like, if you think about it, one doctor eats this thing and he would instantly be one of the greatest doctors in the world. According to history, someone once ate this fruit and cured so many diseases with miracle operations that the doctor went on to be known as a legend. But then again, we just want the money, which is why he's an idiot pirate.
Yeah, of course. There's whatever. Who cares? That does make me wonder if there's the knowledge about the immortality operation feature.
I don't know.
Fruit. Has anybody done that before? That makes you wonder that, like, are there just somebody walking around who's immortal?
I have no idea. Possible, but it's so.
And I guess
I guess that'd be one way to explain the Void Sentry, is if here's this some guy immortal from the Void Sentry ain't walking around.
Right. Yeah. Or just like the idea that like, well, if the op fruit is if the user dies, it's going to reincarnate anyway. So it's just, there's something about just sort of like the immortality thing is kind of like that's not nothing.
No.
Yeah. That's not the kind of thing that you just like say.
We'll see how it comes up, but
yeah,
it is funny that we have Corazon being a goof as he's like, check out how my powers work. So he has a calm where he can tap around, he can break glass, fire a rocket, fart, nothing makes a sound. And Doflamingo, not Doflamingo, but Law just says, what a stupid, useless power. It's not cool at all. Baby Five's arms fruit is better. It's like, I know, I'm jealous.
Of course, a child would think weapons are better.
I love how he had this badass, cool persona before we learn more about him. He's just this goofball.
He's just so adorable. But I do like that. Like, no, this devil fruit is actually really good for espionage.
Oh yeah, it is. He just silences everything, gets in, shoots out all the lamps without everybody hearing a sound, kicks them away as they're trying to get a light, grabs the fruit, and he is out.
Yeah. Wow. That whole thing was, it's almost too easy. And of course he's like, I did it, Law. It's the op fruit. We can cure your disease. And he slips.
And he trips. Yep. And when did he get here? And they're like, wait, there's a guy in a black coat who stole the op fruit. Don't let him get away. Oh, we have him. And so, Law is slowly dying. We can see just how much of the white has taken over his body. And all the insanity going on in the distance. And that's where we end. We just see how, like, we can kind of guess how the rest of this will play out.
Yes.
Where
we know two things. Law's going to get that fruit and Corazon's going to die.
Yes.
Like, the already established.
Yeah, it's inevitable. The other question I have is whether Law will find out whether Corazon was a Navy man or not.
Oh, that's also true.
That's sort of the big revelation possible
I
there.
Actually don't know.
Yeah,
I'll be interested to see if we find that out.
Couldn't tell you, but
yeah,
it's But damn, what a good flashback.
Dude. Oh boy, this flashback is excellent. There's a lot of meat to chew on. It's just bleak, and I don't know, just thematically, I feel like Oda's touching on some good subjects here.
For sure. Before we talk in any real depth, though, let's go ahead and get to that SBS that we have this time, where somebody notices. Okay, I'm a little concerned about this 8-year-old that sent this letter in.
Right.
It's like, hey, I noticed you're making Nami and Robin's boobs bigger. Is that because you ate the perv fruit? Please make my mom and big sister's boobs bigger too. I'm like, okay, I'm concerned for this kid. I am very concerned for this kid.
I feel like it's always the young kids who like write in the most cursed questions.
Right.
And I don't know if I
like
love
it'd
that
be
Oda
weird if it was like
it.
a 15-year-old or whatever, but an 8-year-old is like,
that's a little odd. I don't know if you should be entertaining it.
No, I got nothing. The other SBS, I'll be honest, I barely understand. Like some Rakugo story. It's like some Japanese comedy, which has a very different flow a lot of the times when you get very specific. That doesn't translate very well.
Yeah, and I can at least explain what Rakugo is, because it is a type of storytelling where you have like one person performing multiple characters, just like sitting in front of an audience.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not necessarily always comedic, but it is a kind of it's one of those like kind of traditional theatrical kind of art forms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And there's a current manga running in Shonen Jump about Rakugo called Akane Banashi, and it is very good.
Really?
Yeah.
That's subject for everything. Amazing.
Yeah, right?
Oh, goodness. But those are our chapters, and good God.
Oh,
some
boy.
of the bleak, it's like we got lore, we got bleak happenstance, we've got great character development. This is everything we want out of a set, right? Of One Piece chapters. I mean, I still can't get over that we effectively learned the first actual thing about the D for the first time in over 700 got a
chapters.
Sense of why people care about but it's also like, I guess the will of D is to topple the gods, but still.
Yeah. And now you kind of understand, because we had that one scene where Gold Roger was like, my name's Gold D Roger. Why are they messing up my name? And it's like, oh no, they
they're hiding
somebody
that.
somewhere didn't want people to know. So it's very interesting to me, and there's still not really much of an explanation of this, but the idea that like some people hide it and some don't, right? So it's interesting, that at no point has anyone been like, Monkey D Luffy. Let's see,
Like some people know it, other people don't. It's not. It doesn't seem to be a widely known thing.
Definitely not. Yeah, all the stuff about like the shadows of history and things like that. But
also, I just remembered Jaguar D Sol. It was it was killing me for most of this time, but it was Jaguar.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I feel like it definitely going forward, learning that characters have the D middle name is going to... It's a little bit more significant now, knowing that, like, seemingly, somehow, for some reason, are opposed to the Celestial Dragons.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah. I can only interpret that, like, the destruction of the world has to be a good thing if the Celestial Dragons don't want it, because it would somehow turn things in a way where it would no longer benefit them.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So
it's, if I can make a prediction here, like as we're winding down, it's weird to look and see like 766, like, oh God, we're getting close to the end of this arc. And we keep saying that, but it's just weird each time. Where we're definitely all but inevitably finishing up the flashback next time. And I think we're going to start getting individual fights. It's time to start pairing off and start finishing off Doflamingo's crew as we work towards the fight with Doflamingo himself.
Yeah.
And all that, but because we're kind of running out of time to have these fights, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of amazing how little the fighting has been a focus, and yet it has. Like, it's been present, but not focused on, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I guess, like, unlike other One Piece arcs where it's very much you kind of have, like, okay, we're all going to split off into our individual fights, and then there's going to be plot progression kind of happening side by side. It's not really that. It's been a lot more, like, free form, which I kind of think is really impressive, actually.
Yeah, very much so. I mean,
yeah,
we've been praising this arc for a while. I've never been bored doing it.
No.
So.
Oh man.
Just wow.
Dressrosa continues to impress. It really just Oda has found his stride with this, I feel like.
Seriously, I cannot wait to see how he just goes from here, and how, when you're saying you like the other arcs better, it's like, what the hell happens in those?
Right, yeah. I'm kind of questioning myself now.
I guess we'll see. But with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 761 to 765 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or simply BitNerd on BlueSky. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I am Brandon Bovia on Twitter and BlueSky, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. And I actually have something to plug this time.
Ooh.
Because I was on the Kanzenshu podcast, which is a Dragon Ball fan site, probably one of the oldest Dragon Ball fan sites.
Yeah, it's like the site almost.
Yeah. So, got to talk about my work on the series and, all that sort of thing. You know what to expect.
Yeah.
But genuinely, it was a really fun, really great conversation. So, if you don't have a good understanding of what I do, for some reason 166 episodes into the show, then yeah, go check it out.
I wonder how it goes if you when you try to plug One Piece to Dragon Ball fans.
That's also true.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, if you'd like to help us, well, check that out for sure. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derrick Bittner. That's DerrickBitner to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early, as well as patron-exclusive bonus episodes. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 766 to 770 of One Piece. So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
I swear to survive whatever torment you throw at me! Remember my words! I look forward to the day that I hunt you down and murder every single